What's up, you guys? Happy Saturday, everybody. Hi. Happy, joy. Happy, joy. How you guys doing? Happy Saturday. Oh. Had my phone on. So I told you guys that we were going to review part 1 and part 2 of Quiet on the Set, and then we were going to do a separate video because Dan Schneider has spoken. I also told you guys I wanted to go down the rabbit hole of this whole Amanda Bynes situation. Now I'm not gonna say I went down the rabbit hole, but I did pull some information that we're going to review. So hey Lisa, how you doing, my love? Hey everybody coming in, Citizen Jane, Tracy, Mina, Gabby. Hey, you guys coming in. Come on in. Now on my main channel, it is members only, but you do not have to be on my main channel in order to speak. I mean, but you could be on the ReallyBTV reviews channel. The link is pinned at the top of the chat, and you can speak as freely as you want over there. Okay. You know, we are still working on getting that other channel. Once I get that other channel monetized, I will no longer be doing I'll be doing it all over there, okay? But the reason why I'm still streaming it in both places is because, you know, we're trying to get the things done, honey. We're trying to get the monetization and everything taken care of. So, for those of you that are irritated by it, well, nobody has told me they're irritated by it, so let me not say that. But if it's inconvenient to anyone, that's what it is, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little about it. What's up, Peace? I got your text. Thank you so much. I was getting ready for this when I saw your text come through. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we're gonna. I know that there are a lot of clips floating around where Dan did an actual interview where he sat down, but because of potential copyright issues, I don't really want to get into playing a lot of clips. Because this video may or may not, you know, it's already going to be kind of iffy about the monetization because of the subject matter. Y'all know how YouTube is about subjects like this. So I'm not going to play a lot of the audio. Well, I'm not going to play any of the audio because I found an article which really goes through his interview and it really talks about what he said, what Dan Schneider said in response. And I want to be clear, Dan Schneider has not been accused of anything as it relates to being inappropriate with any of the kids, okay, from a sexual point of view, okay. Now, his behavior has come into question as far as how he treated the people, how he talked to them. His judgment has come into question, but I just want to be clear about that. Now, some things were alluded to, but because no one has ever come forward and came right out and said, hey, this happened to me and Dan did it. I'm sure the documentary was very careful in how they put things out. And that's why I'm giving that disclaimer. Okay. Some people have, you know, a lot has been said this week. Josh has come out and spoke in favor of Drake. Drake came out and said that Josh has reached out to him privately and has been very supportive. I think what's important for a lot of people to understand is Drake was very private about this situation. His dad did not even know for a very long time. So I think it was kind of messed up that a lot of people came after. I know people are angry, and I know that people sort of feel helpless because it happened so long ago and there's not really a lot we can do about it now. But I think I just felt bad that a lot of people were attacking Josh like he wasn't doing something. You know, I think because we live our lives, when I say we, I don't mean each one of us individually. I mean in general, because we live our lives publicly. I think that people feel like if something isn't done publicly, then that means it's not happening. And I think people have to understand and respect the fact that everybody isn't public. Like, I don't have to make a public statement to satisfy you all if I have reached out to the person I need to reach out to. What Josh said is that over the years, him and Drake are not as close. They really aren't even friends at all at this point. But he did reach out and he did extend his support. I think we also have to get out of these time warps that we get ourselves in. Just because people were friends at one point in time does not mean they're still friends, right? So anyway, hey spiritual gangster, thank you. Thank you, spiritual gangster, for becoming a member. I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much, so much. So let's get into this article that Josh is full. Well, why would you say that, Mamiana? Why are you saying he's full of it? Why? Maybe you know something I don't know. Y'all know stuff that I don't know. So tell me. Well, I appreciate it. Maybe you know something I don't know. So tell me why you say Josh is full of it. Tell me. Josh always been. How you know Josh always been funny acting? You know him. How you know he always been funny acting towards Drake? You was hanging out with them people. Hey Xavier. Right, he didn't invite Josh to his wedding because he said him and Josh weren't friends. Like that's what I'm saying. He said him and Josh were not friends. I mean, him and Drake were not friends. I think okay. Let me say this. This is my opinion on it. And you know, Mamiana, I love you, boo. Everybody is entitled to their own point of view on it. But here's how I look at it. I think that we have to understand things in real time. Drake and Josh did a show together. That doesn't mean that they were best friends in real life. It means that they were best friends on TV. That's number one. Number two, Drake, through his own admission, because of what happened to him, was not a very, he had a drug problem. He had an alcohol problem. He got into a lot of issues. He had DUIs, things of that nature. Whereas Josh was over here doing his thing over here. Here's the reality of the situation. Josh did not know what had happened to Drake, and therefore Josh did not necessarily know why Drake was acting the way he acted, but their relationship they weren't friends. They did this. So again, I don't understand why he was wrong for not inviting somebody he's not friends with to his wedding. They weren't friends anymore. But neither here nor there. I don't, yeah. But yeah, a lot of people are on Drake's side because they feel like Josh did Drake wrong. And all I'm saying is, I just see both sides of it. And I think it's not fair. I think it's not fair for us to judge him. But again, Josh has been drugging Drake over the years, but not because of okay. First of all, I don't know, so I'm going by what y'all are telling me. But if he has been drugging Drake over, if he has been drugging Drake over the years, it has nothing to do with what happened to him. It has nothing to do with the violation that this young man suffered. It has to do with two kids who are not friends anymore. It has to do with one of those kids went down a dark path and the other kid did whatever that other kid did. So I don't think it's fair for us to hold Josh to the standard like he knew what was happening, like he understood what Drake went through, which would cause Drake to act the way that he acted. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So maybe Josh wasn't nice to Drake. That's fine. But that is separate from this situation. That's all I'm saying. And I think that people are like, oh, well, he's been dragging him all these years. Yeah, but it don't have nothing to do with this. They just didn't, they had their own personal thing, that whatever they had but behind the scenes. Maybe they fell out. Maybe they got into a fight. Maybe Drake slept with Josh's girlfriend. Like, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I think that I just think it wasn't fair for people to come at him as if he did, like as if he helped in the violation. That's how I feel. Right. People, thank you, Xavier. People are conflating the issue. I think people are just pointing daggers at everyone who had a connection. I agree. I think that's true too. You know, I think it's two different issues. if Josh wasn't nice to Drake, okay, Josh wasn't nice to Drake, but I don't think it had anything to do with this. Which kind of brings me, okay, let me talk about that. Kind of brings me to something else I want to speak on. But since we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and speak on this, and then we're gonna get into the article. I went back and I looked at some of the old, because a lot of people have been, y'all know how the internet is. So a lot of people have been going back talking about Barbara Walters and Cory Feldman, and how Cory Feldman has been ringing the alarm for all of these years. And I found so many clips like Elijah Wood and, so many other people who said the same thing. Like, listen, Hollywood is for the pedos. Y'all know I can't say the word too many times, so I'm going to try not to say it at all. But Hollywood is so full of the pedos. Hollywood is so full of the pedos. And nobody pays attention because, like I said, nobody wants to do anything about it. And two, because some of the people that are accused are these people's friends, or because we have put them on such a pedestal, we don't want to accept that they could possibly do something wrong. Cory Feldman has been very clear in saying that Charlie Sheen violated him. The same Charlie Sheen that we know has indulged or overindulged in prostitutes over the years, has cheated on pretty much seemed like every woman he's ever been with. And we know is HIV positive. And not only is he HIV positive, but he was HIV positive, still sleeping around with women and not telling them. If I remember correctly, one of the women that he was with actually found saw his medication and found out that way. And he was forced to tell the world publicly because she threatened to tell everybody. If I remember correctly, it's that Charlie Sheen. Now, am I wrong? Did I get any of that story wrong? Now, has anybody else come forward and accused Charlie Sheen of that? To my knowledge, no. But that doesn't negate his story. And again, what I think people do, which is what I think happened with Cory Feldman, is because I think it's that cycle of what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So I think that a lot of people discounted Cory Feldman and other people. I think Corey Haim and Cory Feldman and a lot of these other people who came forward and talked about what happened to them. I think a lot of people discounted their stories. One, because of who was involved. We've already talked about that. And two, because those people had drug issues or alcohol issues or had issues with the law. And I think now in 2024, we make that connection, right? In 2024, we can look at Cory Feldman and say, well, maybe Cory Feldman was a drug addict because of what happened to him allegedly when he was a child actor, right? But in 1990, I don't think people made those connections. I think people were like, oh, he's just been a problem child his whole life. He's been in trouble with the law. He's a drug addict. We can't really listen to what he's saying. And I think now we would do the opposite. I think now we would say, oh, well, that's probably why he's a drug addict. You see what I'm saying? So I just think that when I look at a lot of these old clips, yes, it pisses me off to see Barbara Walters sort of come at him while he's being vulnerable and telling his story. But we put it on the pedestal. I mean, we put it in the realm of, I think we see things differently today than we used to. But anyway, let's get into this article, child. And then I'll get into this article, and then we're going to talk about this Amanda Bynes. I found like a timeline, so we're going to get into that. YouTube, I told y'all, Tasha, YouTube be unsubscribing people. Please, please, please double check and make sure that you are subscribed, not just to me, but to all your faves. When you guys stop getting notifications, don't automatically assume you're not getting a notification. Go back and see if you are still subscribed. YouTube unsubscribed to Abby from my channel a couple of months ago. Not only would Abby never unsubscribe from me, but she's a whole mod. She's a whole mod on my channel. Matter of fact, she's my managing mod on my channel. So I have no idea why. I don't understand, but YouTube does that from time to time. Because I used to think they only did it on channels that you don't go to anymore. But no, they do it. They just randomly do it. So double check and make sure you guys are still subscribed. Again, not just to me, but to all of your faves. Hey, Miss Toby. Hey, boo. I read Amanda had a word at 13. Yeah. You know, they did, and they did reach out to. There's an episode that referenced that episode. Where, Mamiana? An episode on what? They did reach out to Amanda to be on the documentary, and she declined. But to be honest with you, she should have declined. Y'all, when I look at a picture of Amanda Bynes now and Amanda Bynes then, it doesn't even look like the same person. Oh my gosh, it just doesn't look like the same girl. I feel so bad. All right, let's get into this article. Yeah, she's definitely not in a place to have that conversation. I hope one day maybe she gets there, but she's definitely not. She's not there. I wouldn't want her to do it. I wouldn't want her to do it. All right, let's get into this article. Oh, open up the wrong thing. On the Amanda Show, she's on stage talking to a man comes walking on the stage. I think it cut you off, Mamiana. I think it cut it off. On the episode of the Amanda Show, it alluded to her having an A. If I have time, I might drop the link at the end. But I won't have a long time because I have another live at 8 o'clock, and I got to finish getting ready for that one. But let me see if I have time. I still have to do my slideshow for the live later on. He referenced her stomach being empty and giving her a baby. What? The reason why I keep hesitating like that is because if that's true, which I'm not saying that y'all have a reason to lie. I'm just saying if that's true, then not only does that mean that Dan Schneider absolutely knew what happened, even if he wasn't responsible for it, he absolutely knew because he was the writer, right? But that is also a cruel thing to do to somebody. That is so cruel. If that is really, wow. Okay. Wow. 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 Girl, let's get into this article, honey. Okay. So this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. It is called Dan Schneider Breaks Silence After Watching Quiet on the Set documentary. It hurts really bad. So don't nobody care about your pain. The Hollywood Reporter has obtained a reaction video in which former Nickelodeon producer talks cutting scenes from reruns, sexualized content in series, on-set messages, Drake Bell, Amanda Bynes, and more. I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology. Oh, and don't forget to remind me to address Chris Macy's or Massey. Is it Massey or Macy? Mother too, because she has some things to say, and then Chris has some things to say. So don't let me forget to get into that. But I want to get into the article, you guys. Okay. An apologetic and at times emotional Dan Schneider has broken his silence after viewing Investigation Discovery's Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. a 4-part docuseries that made claims about toxic workplaces for child actors and crews on Nickelodeon series that he created and ran. Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult. Me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret. I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology, Schneider told Boogie, who played T-Bo on iCarly, in a 19-minute video interview that was shot after the former Nickelodeon producer watched Quiet on the Set. Among the allegations levied at Schneider, who was once called the Norman Lear of children's television in the New York Times, include that he tolerated toxic workplace conditions and that he allegedly tormented and humiliated the cast and crew on his TV sets. When I watched the show, I could see the hurt in some people's eyes, and it made me feel awful and regretful and sorry. I wish I could go back, especially to those earlier years of my career, and bring the growth and the experience that I have now and just do a better job and never, ever feel like it was okay to be an asshole to anyone, ever, Schneider said in a video exclusively obtained by Hollywood Reporter. The prolific kids TV producer has stayed tight-lipped in the weeks leading up to the docuseries premiere, but on Monday, after the first night aired, representatives for Schneider responded to claims about sexualized content and toxic on-the-set behavior by saying that everything that happened on the shows Dan ran was carefully scrutinized by dozens of involved adults and approved by the network. Let me put a pin in that. Now, he's not wrong about that, but that doesn't change the fact. See, here's what I want us to stop doing. I want us to stop bringing up all of those things and just deal with the issue. Does it matter that other people said it was okay? If it was wrong, it was wrong. If it was inappropriate, it was inappropriate. You justifying it by saying, hey, other people saw it and they said it was fine, doesn't change the fact that you did it. Okay. Now he's speaking directly and addressing specific allegations and stories of abuse. In the 3rd episode of Quiet on the Set, Drake Bell, the star of Drake and Josh and The Amanda Show, named himself as the John Doe victim in Brian Peck's assault case. Schneider in the new video claims he did not hire the Nickelodeon dialogue coach who was convicted of sexually assaulting a child in 2004, now known to be Bell. Bell's name was never previously revealed in open court. See, again, just because you did not hire him doesn't change the fact that that happened under your watch. And I'm not blaming Dan for what this other grown man did, because again, I probably put more blame on his mama than anything else. But again, can we stop passing the baton and just stand in it? I didn't know that was going on. Had I known it was going on, I absolutely would have called the police. I would have stopped it. I would have dealt with it. You know what I mean? Stop saying, well, I didn't hire him. It doesn't matter who hired him. We know HR failed. Hell, HR failed when it came to you because you had 3 internal investigations and you kept your job. You had a whole lawsuit your first year as a producer and creator on your television show of The Amanda Show. You had a whole lawsuit for workplace violation and sexism and all that other stuff that woman put in that lawsuit. And they settled with that woman and you were never even reprimanded. You kept your job with no problem. So we know HR ain't shit. When Drake and I talked and he told me about what happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far. And I told him, I'm here for you, Schneider said in that video. Now, Drake said the same thing. Drake said that Dan absolutely reached out to him, supported him, and was there for him. Now, that is true. At one point in the interview, what I'm saying, that's true. I'm saying that Drake corroborates that story. Let me say that. At one point in the interview, Schneider teared up when recounting Bell's mother coming to him for help to write a speech to read before the court at Peck's trial. She came to me at the time and she said, Dan, I'm not good with words like you are. And would you help me with my speech for the judge? I said, of course I did. And Peck ended up going to prison and serving time. Now, I will also say, I'm going to go ahead. Schneider also recounted Bell having to attend a sentencing hearing for Peck, where the convicted predator side of the courtroom was filled with supporters. A lot of them were pretty famous people. Of course, Drake was devastated that happened, and even more disappointing, 41 of those people wrote letters for Peck's character, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency. Now, I'm not saying what's true or what isn't true because I surely was not there. But Drake didn't say nothing about you being there with him in court. Drake, when he told his story, he said it was just him, his mama, and his brother. He didn't say you was there, Dan. Now, that don't mean you wasn't there. I ain't going to say you wasn't. I'm going to just say Drake ain't say nothing about that. That don't mean you weren't there, though. That don't mean you weren't there. Hollywood stars named in Quiet on the Set for having written such letters. We already talked about this. That was probably the darkest part of my career, Schneider said. And here's the kicker that I really don't get. After Peck got out of prison and was a registered offender, he was hired on a Disney show. I don't understand that. Well, damn, we agree on something because we didn't understand it either. We don't know how that happened, sir. We don't know either. The Hollywood Reporter has reached out to reps for Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel and Bell for comment. I understand that Peck voiced the role of a mirror on 3 episodes of The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody for Disney. Sources also insist that Peck performed the role entirely in a voiceover studio well away from the series set and had no interaction with cast and crew members, including minors. The Hollywood Reporter has also learned that after learning of Peck's conviction, Disney fired him immediately and replaced his voice and on-screen credit of that three episodes of the series he worked on. Why somebody Disney? Oh, I broke my nail. Disney. Why did nobody why you did not know? That was a whole front page story. As small as Hollywood is, everybody know everybody, cousin, uncle, sister, brother. Y'all ain't know that man had just got out of jail for what he had did. Stop playing with me. I do agree with El Teddy. El Teddy said we need to get the Disney Quiet on the Set, the Disney one next, because this don't make no sense, Disney. Make me sick. In the post Quiet on the Set video, Schneider explained that he did not hire Peck for work on all of that. When asked if this was a Tallinn Robbins production, Schneider responded yes, as he referenced the one-time production banner led by longtime producer-directors Mike Tomlin and Brian Robbins. Brian Robbins was also on Head of the Class, right? Isn't he the other guy from Head of the Class? I think. Hold on. Background sources at Paramount, where Robbins is currently presiding and CEO of Paramount Pictures after at one point overseeing Nickelodeon for the then parent company Viacom, told the Hollywood Reporter that he was not in any way involved in hiring Peck to work at the Kids Network. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't really care. I don't care. See, here's the thing. When he was hired, he was not a convicted offender. So who cares who hired him? Why are we moving the goalposts? Why are we playing? We playing hide the ball. We don't care who hired him the first time. Now I care who hired him at Disney. Who hired him at Disney after he got out of jail? But when he was at Paramount, he was not convicted of anything. So that's not. Who cares? Schneider's recollections of his years at Nickelodeon, where he created hit programs like The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, Zoe 101, iCarly, Victorious, and Sam and Cat, follow his critics alleging online and in Quiet on the Set that he was inappropriate to young females who worked for him, that he wrote inappropriate scripts for uncomfortable child actors to perform. In hindsight, Schneider agreed some jokes crossed the line and should be cut from episodes that continue to air and can still be streamed. All these jokes the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes were written for a kids' audience because kids thought they were funny and only funny, he argued. But that was then. Let's cut those jokes out now of the show, just like I would have done 20 years ago or 25 years ago, he says. I want my... What? Wait a minute. Hold on. All of those jokes the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes were written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny and only funny. But that was then. Then he's okay. Let's cut those jokes out of the show, just like I would have done 20 years or 25 years ago. I'm confused. Well, if you would have cut the jokes out 20 to 25 years ago, then you knew they were inappropriate. Am I reading that wrong? Let me read it one more time. Because I'm not being funny. All of those jokes the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes was written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny and only funny, he argued. But that was then. Let's cut those jokes out of the show, just like I would have done 20 years ago or 25 years ago, he says. Hold on, let me go back to the chat. Maybe y'all understand what they're saying. So, if you feel like the jokes were inappropriate 20 to 25 years ago, why are you doing them? Okay, Don said he full of ish. But he is trying to say people were more so offended now, but wasn't offended back then. Well, he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong. He's trying to say that we think it's inappropriate because of the current climate, not that we thought they were inappropriate then. I haven't seen anything from Brian Peck. Has anybody found anything from Brian Peck? I haven't seen or heard anything. When I was looking, I didn't see anything. Okay. He goes on to say, I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like the shows. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am. You mean the more money you make. So if there's anything that needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it. I wonder if you would have said that 2 years ago. Excuse me. Among other revelations, Schneider claimed to have helped Amanda Bynes, star of the hit series The Amanda Bynes Show, who at age 16 or 17 years, he recounted, attempted to separate herself from her parents. At one point in the video, he recalled a late night call from Bynes. It was very late, well, after midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning. The phone rang, I answered it, and it was Amanda. She was in distress. She had some conflict with her parents, I think her father, and she called. I was immediately concerned for her safety, Schneider claimed in the video. He added that he arranged for Bynes to be picked up due to his safety concerns. I felt better. She ended up being taken to the police. During his run, Schneider helped... No. Why we just stop at that? Why we just stop there? Why that girl feel comfortable calling you at 2 in the morning? Am I tripping? She didn't have no cousin, uncle, sister, brother, best friends, aunties, her agent. Okay then. During his run, Schneider helped launch the careers of Bynes, Kenan Thompson, Victoria Justice, Miranda Cosgrove, Jeanette McCurdy, and many more. While no actual allegations involving child actors have been made against Schneider, he made several apologies in the video for young actors who said they felt uncomfortable or vulnerable on his TV sets. There are definitely things I would do differently, he insisted, including having licensed therapists on set to oversee child actors in the filming process. See, now you're just making shit up. You ain't nowhere in the world in 1992, your ass would have got no damn licensed therapist to be on set for them kids. Stop playing with me. Now you just saying shit. The main thing that I would change is how I treat people and everyone. I definitely at times did not give people the best of me. I didn't show enough patience. I could be cocky and definitely over ambitious and sometimes just straight up rude and obnoxious. And I'm sorry that I ever was. He also said, among other things, that he was wrong to ask anyone on set to give him massages. I was wrong. I was wrong that I ever put anyone in that position. It was wrong to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anyone that I ever put in that position. Y'all, is anybody buying any of this shit? Is anybody buying any of this? Put in the chat. Put a one in the chat if y'all are buying this. Put in one in the chat. Mommy Anna said hell no. Xavier, can you do me a favor, please? Can you find out for me? Can you Google, maybe go to his IMDb, what is it, IMBD page? What's the last show that Dan Schneider created, or last year that it shows him getting a credit for creating a show or even producing a show? I'm curious. He also addressed the inappropriate jokes he told and the pranks that he pulled on in the writer's room. Let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period. The end. No excuses, he said. Schneider insisted he should never have taken part, especially when he was in charge. Sir, again, the documentary didn't say you took part. The documentary said you did it. I can tell you why it hurts really bad for me, he continued when recalling early experiences in the entertainment business. I was green. I was scared. I was excited. It meant the world to me that I was getting these opportunities. And I went in and I got lucky because my first couple of experiences were fantastic. And the fact that I didn't pay it forward to every employee that walked through my door, it hurts my heart because I should have, and I wish I could go back and fix it all. No, what happened was because you did get it, because it did come easy to you, and because you did find success very early, you thought you was the man. You thought you was the ish. He was listed as a writer on the movie Good Burger too. Okay. We're almost done. It's only like 2 paragraphs left. He also discussed what critics online and in the Quiet on the Set series point to as inappropriate on-air dare sketches, which Schneider agreed in some cases went too far. When I was watching the show over the past 2 nights, I now know that there were kids who did have problems with on-air dares, and it breaks my heart. I'm so sorry, and I'm sorry to any kid who ever had to do a dare or anything they didn't want to do or weren't comfortable doing. On the making of the reaction video, a spokesperson for Schneider said Boogie reached out to the TV producer to see if he could ask him some questions about the series. Is it Boogie or Boogie? Boogie wants to make it clear, though, that he is not a journalist and wasn't trying to be. He was offering to provide a platform for Dan to confront a lot of his previous behaviors. The statement continued that Bougie thought it was something worth doing if Dan was into it, so people could hear from Dan. Well, I will say this. I do appreciate the fact that Dan is addressing it. Do I think that, here's the reality of the situation. Sometimes all you can do is apologize, right? So at this point in the game, all he can do is apologize. He can't, you know. So I mean, on one hand, it's like, okay, all you're doing is apologize. Well, all he can do is apologize. But the best apology is change behavior. So the question is, are you still working? And if you are working, what does it look like today? Somebody said, Good Burger, he's listed because he created those characters, not because he wrote on the movie. Okay. That makes sense. He gets credit for being the person who created those characters. Okay. Okay. Marnie said, but he is listed as a writer. Okay. Hillary Duff. Was Hillary Duff on Nickelodeon too? He apologized as if he ghosted someone. The dude was writing actual innuendos using and marketing it to kids. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It comes up short for me. I don't know what about it comes up short. I don't know where I can't put my finger on it, but it just comes up short for me. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell y'all the truth. Now, um, again, I can't tell somebody, oh, she was on Disney. Okay. I can't, for those people whose careers he ruined, people who he fired without a second thought, that one woman who basically was blacklisted because she dared to sue him. I hope that he takes the opportunity to go more in depth in his apology. The apology video itself feels like an interview embedded in an infomercial that is geared towards selling a product, absolutely scripted and fake. Thank you, Roy Dale and Aberstein's cousin. Thank you, my love, for the super chat. Yeah, it's something that just I can't put my finger on it, but it's something that just comes off so not genuine. I don't know. I cannot. I just can't put my finger on it because for me, I don't believe him because there's some things that you could say, oh well, I did them because I could get away with it. But sir, you were taken to HR not once, not twice, but 3 times. The first time there was an investigation, you were sued. Well, your company, your job, they were sued. And you weren't punished, so you didn't feel like you did anything wrong, and that didn't make you change behavior. Sometimes people get in trouble or they almost get in trouble. They dodge the bullet and they're like, whoo, I'm gonna fix it. But it doesn't sound like that's what you did. If anything, it sounds like you got worse. If anything, it sounds like you got worse. Dan Schneider's partner, Brian, hold on, Levine, who has been the president and CEO of Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon since. Oh no, I haven't heard him make that. Yeah, they said that earlier in the article that he hasn't spoken publicly about it. And then you got investigated a second time, and once again, nothing happened. It sounds like Nickelodeon punished you by not allowing you to be down, down on the floor where they were actually filming the show. But you ain't lose your job. I'm sure you ain't take no reduction in pay. It wasn't until the Me Too movement came along that you actually just got fired. But let's be clear. Had the Me Too movement not come along, sir, you'd still be sitting in your, in your throne up in Nickelodeon, just like everybody else was still the Harvey Weinsteins of the world would still be in their positions. You know what I'm saying? Somebody needs to forensically analyze Dan's hard drives. Ooh. He keeps speaking on being a witness versus yeah, Fran. Yeah, he's really trying to make it seem like he's on the sideline, like he's not in the middle of it, right? You know, it's something that just comes up really short for me. Very, TV execs can be lazy. A lot of stuff gets swept under the rug. Absolutely, absolutely, it does. And that's why Tracy, name them, name them. Now let me pull this Amanda Bynes article that I found, you guys. Now this is sort of like a timeline of Amanda Bynes. So it starts from when she announced her retirement from acting. So hold on, I'm gonna share the screen. But she announced her retirement from acting in 2010. Now the Amanda Bynes show, What I Like About You was the show she did after Amanda Bynes. That started in 2002. So this is roughly 8 years after she left Nickelodeon that she retired altogether. Um, yeah, Dan was on Head of the Class. I don't know what roles he had before that, but I'm sure he did commercials and stuff like that. But he was on Head of the Class. All right. Where's the article? Oh, here it is right here. So this article, it starts with her. Now look at Amanda Bynes now. Look at Amanda Bynes, y'all. Oh my gosh, she looks so different now. So just months before her last film, Easy, Easy A hit theaters, Bynes took to Twitter to announce that she was stepping away from acting in the spotlight because she didn't enjoy it anymore. Being an actress isn't as fun as it may seem, she tweeted in 2010, along with a series of other tweets. If I don't love something anymore, I stop doing it. I don't love acting anymore, so I've stopped doing it. I know 24 is a young age to retire, but you heard it here first. Easy A, also starring Emma Stone, hit theaters that September. Amanda Bynes was arrested for drunk driving. Now look at that picture, right? You already start seeing the transformation. Look at that. Look at that. And look at that. You already start seeing that transformation. Look, her face is swollen. Look at that. That is in April of 2012. So that's 2 years later. That's 2 years after she announced her retirement. Bynes was arrested on a misdemeanor DUI charge after getting into a minor fender bender with the police car. Child, did you hit the police? With the police car that belonged to the LA County Sheriff's Department. The officer said that he suspected she had been drinking and arrested her for driving under the influence. Bynes was booked at the West Hollywood Sheriff's Station with bail set at $5,000 and was released that same day. The arrest was just a month after she was pulled over by the cops for allegedly talking on her cell phone. The police said she had left the scene before the deputy could write her a ticket. She went to the police station later that day to sign her ticket. Girl, what? Girl, you just drove off while the police was writing your ticket? How you just gonna drive away? Well, I tell you, them people get away with it all, don't they? Bynes gets charged with marijuana possession. So in 2013, a year after the DUI, Bynes was charged with reckless endangerment and marijuana possession in 2013 after her building manager called the police saying she was smoking weed in the lobby of her Manhattan apartment. When officers entered her 36th floor apartment, they said they saw her throwing a bong out of the window. Y'all, that's not, listen, I am not laughing at the fact that this woman has mental health issues. I am laughing at the fact that she threw that bong out the tail. I hope it didn't hit nobody. Real talk. Can you imagine if that shit had hit somebody? She could have killed somebody. It said from her 36th floor apartment. She threw a bong out of the window from the 36th floor. She could have killed, like, real talk. She could have killed somebody over a bong. Oh, Lord. Moving on. I just feel like she had other places she could have put the damn bong. It wasn't like the police busted your door down. You could have put it under the sink. You could have put it in your closet behind some shoes. I mean, they smelled it before they even got there, so they knew you were smoking. They didn't need, girl. But I mean, when you panic, you panic. That's all I can say. Bynes was charged with reckless endangerment and marijuana possession after, I just read that. A judge dismissed the case after saying he would if Bynes complied with a request to stay out of trouble for 6 months and to attend counseling twice a week. Okay. July of 2013, Richard and Lynn Bynes filed a conservatorship petition. In it, they stated, "We are deeply concerned that Amanda possesses a substantial risk to herself and to others and to property based on recent events in her life." Throwing bombs out of the 36th floor apartment buildings. While the judge initially delayed ruling on the petition due to Bynes being in a 2-week psychiatric hold, per the Associated Press, a temporary conservatorship was ultimately granted to Lynn Bynes, Amanda's mother, the following month. The conservatorship was originally slated to last until the end of September of that year. Amanda Bynes is placed under a mental health hold. July 2013, Bynes was hospitalized for a mental health evaluation after she set a small fire in a driveway of a home in the Thousand Oaks residential neighborhood in California. I remember when that happened. In California in June. According to the Los Angeles Times, the authorities said she had no connection to the home. The actor was taken into custody for her own safety and placed under a 5150 hold, California's Welfare and Institutional Codes. Amanda Bynes get probation for DUI. Now, this is 2014, y'all. This is what? How many years later? I'm sorry. Let me go back to the top. 4 years later. So in 4 years, she went from this to this. In 4 years. According to CNN, Bynes struck a plea deal in her 2012 DUI case in connection with allegations of having hit a police vehicle. Part of the agreement, she pled no contest to reckless driving while the DUI charges were dropped. At the time, a court ruled that Bynes must be on probation for a period of 3 years. So I guess the 3 years was up. Although I don't know how she didn't violate her probation from the DUI with the marijuana charge in New York. But, child, we see Krishan is just crisscrossing the country assaulting people on probation. So, I mean, I guess. In October of 2014, in a series of tweets, Bynes initially accused her father of abuse, at one point stating he was verbally and physically abusive to her as a child. Elsewhere in the tweets, she also claimed sexual abuse. Although those allegations were later retracted by Bynes herself, who said her father never did any of those things. "My dad was verbally and physically abusive to me as a child," she wrote, in now deleted tweets. "He called me ugly as a child and then asked me if I wanted to have sex with him. I did not know how to respond, and I said no, and then I was forced to live with my dad, which was a total nightmare. My dad fondled himself in front of me for so many times that I started recording him on my phone in hopes of catching him saying or doing something inappropriate around me so I could get him arrested and put in jail for the rest of his perverted life. My mom knows that my father literally and physically incestual towards me, his own daughter, and the fact that she never called the police on him embarrasses me to no end. So today I'm meeting with a lawyer to get a restraining order against my dad. In a statement shared with E! News at the time, through her attorneys, Amanda's mother said she and her husband were heartbroken to see those statements being started on social media. These allegations stem from Amanda's mental state at the moment. They have no basis in reality, Lynn said through her attorney. Bynes later backtracked her allegations against her father, writing, "My father never did any of those things. The microchip in my brain made me say those things, that he's the one that ordered them to microchip me. I'm sorry. But he's the one that ordered them to microchip me." Oh. Hmm. I was thinking that too, Xavier. Maybe that's what Amanda told Dan, and maybe that's why Dan helped her. I don't know. Y'all. Here's my, well, I'm gonna wait till I get to the end of this and I'm gonna tell y'all my opinion. There's a picture of Amanda with her mom. In December of 2014, following a prior temporary conservatorship in late 2014, a California court made the star's mother her conservator again. This decision came after a judge extended her stay at a Los Angeles treatment facility by another 30 days. According to legal documents obtained by people at the time, Lynn was again given control over the estate in October. Bynes shares bipolar and manic depressive diagnosis. In November of 2014, 2014 was a very eventful year for this baby. In November of 2014, Bynes said on social media posts that she had been diagnosed bipolar and manic depressive. According to Entertainment Tonight, she also said she is receiving treatment in connection with the diagnosis. However, several hours after making the statement, Bynes seemed to suggest that she had not intended to do so, instead blaming it on someone who had been tweeting from her phone. That's a cute picture of her. November of 2018, so this is 4 years later, Bynes' cover appearance and accompanying interview for Paper Magazine in 2018 was a momentous occasion, both for fans and for the star herself. In it, Bynes spoke candidly about what she's been through over the years, including that she described as a period of drug addiction. Specifically, Bynes said she definitely abused Adderall. As of 2018, Bynes, who notably shouted out her parents for helping her achieve this accomplishment, said she was nearly 4 years sober. There are gateway drugs, and thankfully I never did heroin or meth or anything like that. But certain things you think are harmless that may actually affect you in a more harmful way. But be really careful because you could lose it all and ruin your entire life like I did. So this is her in 2018. She looks good. See, look at her. And you can tell it's in 2018 because you look at her. She looks good. She looks good. Okay. All right. All right. Bynes enters a mental health facility. So in 2019, 5 years later, TMZ reported in March of 2019 that Bynes had entered a mental health facility to seek treatment for a stress-related relapse. After a few troubling months, the actor reportedly checked herself into a Los Angeles area rehab center in January. The stress of attempting a comeback had allegedly caused her too much stress. In addition to seeking help for mental health issues, she was also reportedly receiving treatment for drug addiction. Oh, poor baby. Oh. In June of 2019, she graduated from the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in California. After 5 years, Bynes shared a photo of herself and a friend in their caps and gowns on graduation day on Twitter, adding FIDM graduate 2019 hashtag. Yeah. Bynes first enrolled in the design school in 2014, but was reportedly kicked out out of the school after starting horrendous arguments with classmates. She returned in 2017. So that's the picture. She looks good. Okay. Bynes' conservatorship ends after 9 years. So in March of 2022, her conservatorship, she was released from her conservatorship, bringing the arrangement to an end, determining that it was no longer required. Per the Associated Press, and no one contested the decision, including her parents. The star's attorney explained to NPR that his client's conservatorship, though often linked to media reports to the one involving Britney Spears, is nothing like that case. Amanda's conservatorship was a collaborative effort with her parents. There was no fighting between her and her mother or father. Everyone was working together, including Amanda. Unfortunately, though, in March of 2023, she was placed on a psychiatric hold. While some ensuing reports were quick to remove key context from the story, it was reported in March of 2023 that Amanda Bynes had been placed under a 72-hour psychiatric hold, notably after waving down a car in Los Angeles area. Bynes, at least according to TMZ, told the driver of the vehicle that she was coming down from a psychotic episode. She then called 911. Ensuing updates clarified that Bynes had not injured her nor her family, that Bynes had not injured nor was her family considering another conservatorship. Was this when she was walking around naked? Wasn't she walking around her underwear or walking around naked at one point? And as of right now, the last thing I saw on Amanda Bynes is that she is currently trying to get her nail tech license. Okay. That's the last thing I saw. So here's what I think. I do think that somebody abused her. I just don't know who. But I think somebody abused her. I absolutely believe that somebody abused her. That's my opinion. What do you guys think? Now, Chris Macy's mom, she came down to the internet and she added her 2 cents. And basically she said Dan had been good to her and her family. She ain't got nothing bad to say about Dan. And if anybody should be mad, they should be mad at these parents. Now, listen, when it comes to that part, I didn't disagree with her because I do feel like we already talked about the parents. Okay, we had that conversation the other day. I'll drop the link for 30 minutes. I'll stay till 6:30. So I'm gonna drop the link. If anybody wants to come up and add their little 2 cents, well, not your little 2 cents, your 2 cents is 2 cents. Before I get off, because I do have to get ready for my live at 8 and I'm not done putting the pictures together. Well, Chris came down and said, nobody speaks for me. He said, nobody speaks for me. If and when I decide to tell my story, it will come from me, not from a parent, not from an agent, not from a friend. So please stop tagging me. Basically, he was like, I ain't got nothing to do with what my mama said. Can you please stop tagging me in what my mama said? Because that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's basically what he told them people. He said, if and when I choose to tell my story, it will come from me and only me. Now, I take that to mean he got a story to tell. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like he has a story to tell. And here's the thing that people have to understand, too. I see you, Bab. I'm about to bring you up. Just like Drake didn't tell nobody, a lot of these kids don't tell their story. So, mama, even though I think you have a valid point about the parents, let's not sit here and don't be so quick to put Dan on no pedestal, because you really don't know whether Dan did or didn't do anything inappropriate, not even inappropriate, but you don't know if he treated your son wrong. Hell, they treated the other black kids on that set with a bad. You don't know how he treated your child. Hold on, Bab. I was looking for my. Here we go.
Hey,
Hey, Bab.
yeah, this whole thing is crazy. Hey, am I echoing?
No, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. Um, with Dan, I don't know. I don't know
No.
that he actually like physically abused any kids or anything like that. But I do believe that just overall from what I've heard, that he facilitated that environment. And I do believe that he didn't take the type of care that he needed to make sure that those kids were adequately taken care of, or that their mental was adequately taken care of. And of course he treated his staff horribly. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a level of accountability that needs to be had with Dan. I just don't know if he's on the same level as Brian. And then as far as the Amanda Bynes thing, um, it seems like she's in a real fragile mental state. I don't know if her coming out in public and speaking on her experience is going to do her any good. Like we might get some satisfaction of knowing some information, but it might come out worse for her.
Yeah, that's why I said I'm glad that she turned it down. I don't feel like I don't feel like she needs to. Yeah, I feel the same way. I agree.
Yeah. Overall, it's just sad. A lot of this stuff. I was young. I think I was born in '85, so all that and all that was more kind of my era of watching Nickelodeon. Not Drake and Josh was more like my stepsisters, and so I saw them, but I wasn't really watching them because I was too old.
Right,
But
right, right.
yeah, I was familiar with them, and it was sad to see all that happen with Drake Bell. Glad that he's
Yeah,
finding
yeah,
some healing though.
yeah. I'm glad too. I'm glad to hear that as well. I'm glad to hear it as well. Jane, what you got, my love?
Well, my daughter grew up during this time. So my daughter was born in 93. So she is very much of this generation that we're talking about. And that's how I got to see a lot of these shows because I was the type of parent where, I kept a close eye on the computer screen and the television. So if you watching it, I'm watching it. I took her to the movies and all of that. What I can tell you is there was a big difference in the content between Nickelodeon and Disney. That was number one. Number two was my daughter told me when she was in middle school that she believed that the rise in bullying was directly associated with some of these programs because the way they were written, it made the bullies the heroes. And we had huge conversations about this. And I don't know if people will remember, but if you don't think that the sexualization of children is was this particular problem during that time, you have to remember this is when we found out about rainbow parties in middle school where the girls were wearing a different shade of lipstick so they could see how many different rings they could make on boys' genitalia. They had started, there were thongs in the kids section. We had Brittany and Christina actively being um, marketed to middle school kids. So it was a very difficult time to be a parent because you couldn't take your hand off the wheel. And it was obvious that there was a lot of grooming. I wouldn't even call it grooming. I would just say that there were a lot of adult people around who felt very comfortable adultifying children, both male and female. They thought it was cute, and it had been going on since I was a kid. Because I grew up in the era of seeing Jodie Foster and Brooke Shields play in very provocative adult roles. And the sad part about it is this is a reality for a lot of children. Is they are in these situations. They are um, being made to confront adult problems, or a solution to adult problems like finances. You're talented, you're cute, go with this nice man. I when I first saw Quiet on the Set, the first thing I thought of was a Reba McEntire song called Fancy, where Reba sings about a mother telling her daughter, who's like a teenager, a young
Yes,
teenager,
she's 13.
yeah, hey Fancy, you're gonna have to make it do what it do. You be nice to the men, they gonna be nice to you. I can't I can't carry this anymore. I know people who grew up like that. And this is just a lens into what I believe still goes on. I just think they're more careful with it. It's hard to be an adult and a child simultaneously. And it's even more difficult because I can tell you I've been through it. Other people don't want your children to be a child. And I'm gonna tell one story, and then I'm gonna land my plane. I took my daughter to an event, and this man came to my 14-year-old daughter and started having a conversation about the book Lolita. And he asked her, had she seen the movie? Had she read the book? And he wanted to give her the book. And he was paying a lot of attention to her. And I told my daughter, you know what that is, right? She said, yeah, he's hitting on me. I said, exactly. I said, you know what that means, right? She said, yeah, he's a creep and a predator. Exactly. We got to have these hard conversations earlier, because what happened after that was my boss, hand to Jesus, came to me a few days later and said, oh, yeah, the creep wanted me to make sure I gave your daughter his contact information so he could get in touch with her because he was so impressed by her. I had an executive from Google hit on my daughter in front of me at a company event. And the man said, and she said, he said, don't I know you? And she said, no, I'm 15. He said, oh, yeah, you were with group 15, right? And she says, no, I'm in high school. And he was like, oh, well, here's my card in front of me. Call me when you want an internship. In fact, we're starting some new programs for high school kids. That man has no interest in what my daughter was interested in. He just wanted her in whatever proximity he could get. And a lot of women who are not tigers, or actually, I'm a dragon, who are not dragons like me, might have been in a worse financial situation than me, might have turned a blind eye to that. We got to be real about this. And
I agree.
I'm gonna land my plane on that one, and I'm gonna just be quiet.
All right, Rye.
Hey everybody, how are you all doing today?
Hey, boo.
I just wanted to say something real quick. Honestly, this is heartbreaking for me because this is my childhood, and a lot of these things that they're saying, especially with the uncomfortability of some of the jokes that were a little inappropriate. I remember thinking that the whole feet thing was weird. Like it just like I'm not a person that's into that stuff anyways. So I've always found it disgusting, but now like seeing the documentary and how that was like, you know, one of the things that they always constantly poked at, and then the slime and all this other stuff, it does bring it back into perspective. But going back to Dan, I don't really care for what he is saying now, because at the end of the day, you got fired. And if you wanted to be better, you would have done better. And that's pretty much it. I got to go.
Oh, okay. Thank you, babe.
Mhm.
Tracy.
I just want y'all to all remember I'm not taking my foot off Drake Mama neck. She dead wrong. How dare she? She is disgusting. Absolutely 1000%. Sorry, I just need to get that off my chest just in case. But
You ain't wrong.
going back to Dan, I do think that there is a level of entitlement to Dan because he was able to get away with so much at Nickelodeon because he was making them so much money and he was so profitable that he felt that he could like push the envelope and keep pushing the envelope to go further and further and further. And then I can understand that, depending on your child in your household, that if your child is very innocent, they wouldn't see the sexual connotation to some of the things that he was doing. Where in other households for other kids, they might see it. So, I can definitely understand that depending on the demographic of kids that you are talking to, some people may have gotten it, some people might not have. And I think he was using that to hand over to Disney to be like, oh no, see, we polled these kids and they all think it's funny. They all think it's great. And if you were a very sheltered child, you wouldn't have got it. Things would have went right over your head and it wouldn't have made sense and you just would have laughed. So I do think because Nickelodeon gave Dan so much leeway because he was making them so much money that he was able to continuously press the envelope. And the problem is you're pressing the envelope with a children's television show, right? It's one thing to press the envelopes with adults. To me, I feel like that's a little different. But pressing the envelope with children is never going to be okay. So the only thing that I can tell Dan is your sob story and your white man tears ain't never going to do nothing for me. We don't care. You was dead wrong. You're going to be dead wrong. And I need to know what your partner, who currently works at Paramount for Kids, had to say about what was going on back then. Because that seems odd. That was he not I don't understand how you partnered in this. You were part of this. You did this. And now you're still working with kids. Was this your mindset? I'm confusion, and I need somebody to call him to task. That's all. Oh, and drag Drake mom.
Xavier?
Hello, everyone. I agree with Tracy. That stupid bitch still needs to get her ass a license.
Xavier, what I tell you about that?
I'm sorry. That stupid lady still needs to get her behind a license. She totally allowed that man.
I don't know why that bothers you so much that woman doesn't have a driver's license. There are a lot of people in the world that don't have a driver's. I don't understand why that bothers you.
And I'm one of them. But I think it's very weird that your son didn't say, "Oh, my mom worked a lot. My mom had a lot on her plate." No, she said, "I didn't." She was too busy not driving.
Go ahead.
Just some popcorn.
Hello?
Yes. So okay. I now back to Dan. Dan, you really trying to audition to get another job and it ain't working, baby. Like all of this was clearly an audition for him to get another writing gig, get some more money in his pocket, because the money is drying up. The show streaming ain't paying what it used to be. So he's trying to get another job. All this apologies and all this stuff, like, sir, nobody believes you. And even if they did believe you, it doesn't matter. What are we going to do with you now? It's like everything you've done has been hailed as a mishap. Now your legacy has been destroyed. And I also think that that little part in the article where he said, let's remove the jokes now like we would have 20 years ago. No. Don't do that. Don't want to rewrite history now so then you can come back 10 years later and say, look at all the wholesome children programming I made. Look at all that. Nobody believes you, Dan. You're untrustworthy. You're a liar. And I think even if you didn't do something to Amanda, you contributed to Amanda's mental state by giving her too much power at a young age, giving her too much fame at a young age, and causing a division between her parents. So even if he didn't do anything physical with her, he played his part in what's happening with Amanda. And I also don't like the fact that he never gave a personal apology to the children on his show. He never said, I'm sorry, Brian, for making you feel this way. I'm sorry, Alexa, for making you feel this way about your childhood. I feel like honestly, I feel like his interviews seem to be pre-recorded in advance of the documentary, not in response to it. Because it didn't seem like you watched it at all. It seemed like you knew what you had done, so you just made a whole bunch of blanket apologies. But that's it. That's done. That's how I feel about him.
Well, thank you so much, Xavier. Tasha?
Hi everyone.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that I'm not really shocked about Hollywood. Was a little shocked about this documentary because I didn't watch Nickelodeon. It wasn't in my air. It's about around my brother's age. I'm a little bit older than him, but I did when I saw some of the things that was being put on the show. I'm like, I wouldn't even allow my kid to watch any of the actual innuendos, if you know what I mean. What I just adult content, and I even seen like some people are saying that, well, Dan didn't do what Brian Peck did, but I'm like, but he did do his damage. It's not healthy when kids are coming up um, at a vital time, 10 through 15, they're just now starting to understand the world, and you're putting all this pressure on them and having them do um, or create content like to market to young kids. It's just, I think that he is just as responsible. And also, another thing that bothered me is the letters that were written for Brian Peck. I'm like, I did watch Head of the Class. I did watch
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains and Boy Meets World. I'm like, how could you know that this guy has done these acts to this young man and write a support letter for this guy, give him leniency? It's just I can't believe. Now I'm like, I'm looking at them sad at Joanna Kearns and Will Friedle, and I'm like, come on, man. And none of them, I think Joanna Kearns came out and said something, but I didn't even like what she had to say.
But she tried to make it seem like they lied to her. But again, the man was arrested. The charges were clear. Nobody
Ex-
had to lie to you. You chose to not want to know. If
ex-
I believe you, but I'm not writing a character letter for somebody unless I know what the charges are.
Thank you.
So,
Exactly.
you know,
So that was all that I wanted to say.
well, I thank you, Tasha, so much. Black Down Memory Lane said, really be as weird that every actor Dan gave a spinoff show to has remained silent. I find that to be interesting as well. And again, everybody's experience is not the same. So I don't know. Because even that young lady, the first young lady that spoke, she was sort of the precursor to Amanda. Remember, they said the same thing, that she spent a lot of time with Dan, but she never alluded to anything inappropriate with Dan. She just, so I mean, who knows? Who
Mm.
knows? Well, you guys, I'm going to get ready to get off of here. I want to thank you guys for coming up. Thank you for your input. Thank you for sharing. We'll be back at 8 o'clock for the RuPaul's Drag Race panel. Join me here at 8 o'clock. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Mwah! Peace.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.